Hi everyone, and welcome to this next episode of Career Chats. This is the show where we talk to real people about their real jobs and their real experiences. And today we're going to be talking to Laoise, who studied nutritional science in college, and she's going to be talking to us today about her career. So Laoise, thank you so much for coming on and talking to us today.
No problem, only happy to help out. I knew even when I was in sixth year, I was literally like, oh, what am I going to do when I finish college? So like something like this, I think would be really, really beneficial for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. That was literally the exact same way I was when I was in college, and I kept toing and froing all of the time. So I think something like this will be really beneficial for students and even people who are a little bit older who maybe didn't pick something when they finished their Leaving Cert, or picked something that they weren't too sure about and now want to go back as a mature student or something. Okay, so Laoise, would you maybe start off and just tell us a little bit about your role, your job, what's involved on a daily basis?
Perfect. So I currently work as a territory manager and a global brand manager for a clinical nutrition company. So I guess the company that I work for, what they do is they create products for patients with like really rare disorders ultimately. So these products basically then help the patients to live kind of like a normal life. So my role within the company is I work on one specific product brand. So I deal with mainly all of the dietitians around Ireland, I guess, educating them on the products that we have, the services that we have, but also aiding them with like any queries that they have. Obviously, like the patients that we deal with, the conditions that they have are quite rare. So a lot of the time, you know, there's a lot of queries that come in from either the patients themselves, from family members, from dietitians and other healthcare professionals too. So I guess I'm there as a support to help them through any queries that they actually have. I guess that's kind of my territory manager role side, but I'm also a global brand manager. So ultimately, I'm part of the marketing department as well within the company. So what I do in that role is basically create resources for both patients and for healthcare professionals as well, I guess, to aid with conditions that they have, but also, I guess, in the use of the products that they will be using. On top of that, I'm involved with advertising campaigns, you know, creating ads, and any other, I guess, like social media campaigns that we have going on as well. I guess from an advertising and social media perspective, the area that I work in is quite niche, and obviously because it's a medical field, we're not able to kind of advertise as freely, you know, as maybe, you know, some of like your generic food brands and things. So there's other restrictions that we have to abide by for that. So the advertising from our side of things would mainly be directed towards healthcare professionals. But it's really interesting. And I feel like I'm constantly like learning on my job, because obviously with any queries that come in from patients, families, healthcare professionals, it's always something different, and I love it, to be quite honest. I'm one of those annoying people that really likes their job.
Good, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow, that's really fascinating. Okay, so the whole digital marketing and advertising element of this job, were you prepared for that in college or not?
No, like not in the slightest. So like I might give you like a bit of a whirlwind journey as to kind of what I did. So when I was, I guess like I'll start from school, because when I was in school, I really liked biology, really liked home economics. So quite liked food, but then also kind of liked learning about like how your body operated basically. So I guess, you know, panic, trying to fill out my CAO, and kind of came across Nutritional Sciences and was like, oh my God, this sounds like exactly what I want to do. So went into college, did Nutritional Sciences. It was basically a mix ultimately between like dietetics and food science. So I had kind of like the human nutrition elements, you know, to the course, where we were learning about dietary requirements, did a bit of sports nutrition, did like clinical stuff, so like people who would have been suffering from like malnutrition and things, but then also did like food science elements of it as well, which were like lab based, and also I guess like physiology side of it too. But when I finished college, I was a bit like, I don't really know which route I want to take. I don't really know if I want to go down like the clinical side of things and kind of, you know, move on and do a master's in dietetics, or if there's something else that I want to do. I guess while I was in college as well, I worked for like a local radio station, like down in Cork. I was basically a brand manager for them. So I was basically just going to like loads of different events, you know, chatting to people. It was a really, really nice college job. It was absolutely brilliant, but it made me realize that like I really like talking to people and dealing with people. So I guess from that side of things, I realized I didn't want to be in a lab. So I kind of wanted to, I guess, like engage with people a bit more, but wasn't fully sure if I wanted to commit to doing masters in dietetics. So what I did was, there is a lot of graduate programs that are available to people who finish college courses. So I actually went on a graduate program, or was selected to go on a graduate program with an Irish food company, and they placed me in New York, which was amazing, for 18 months. So while I was there, I basically kind of like learned the business. I think my role was business development. So to be honest, it was like a little bit of everything, which was something that I wasn't used to. I guess you know, from college, I knew everything food related and I knew the science behind it, but going into the food industry was completely different. So I really enjoyed my time there, but also realized that I did want to get back into the clinical side of things when I came home back to Ireland. So when I came home, from my experience that I kind of had in, you know, the business development sales side of things in New York, I was really lucky that there is a clinical nutrition company hiring here. So I guess my background in nutritional sciences and the experience that I had gained in New York really helped me to get that role. So when I got settled into this role, you know, other opportunities kind of came up, I guess, you know, within the company for me to help progress. And I was offered to do a part-time marketing course if it was something that, you know, I wanted to do, which obviously I jumped at the idea of doing it because I really do like the marketing side of things. And I guess just it helps from a sales perspective to be able to push the brand that bit further as well, you know, being able to, I guess, like contribute to different resources that were going to be created, advertising campaigns. So I did a marketing course part-time for the last year, which coincidentally coincided with COVID, which obviously wasn't pre-planned, but it worked out really well that I did have, you know, that extra little bit of time in the evening time to do that marketing course. So finished that, and I guess that's helped me kind of like progress onto the global brand manager role that I'm currently in, along with my territory manager stuff. So I guess there's a lot of things that I have done, but have been supported, you know, in the doings by the company that I'm currently working for.
Okay, wow. So yeah, you have had a lot of really fabulous experiences, like especially going off to New York for 18 months, which is like a dream for so many young people. You mentioned the fact that you were given the opportunity to progress and advance in your career. Is that, you know, something that you will be able to avail of continuously while you're in this role or working for this company? In other words, like, are there many opportunities to advance in this field?
Absolutely. I guess from like my company's perspective, it's the clinical nutrition like company at its core. So the people kind of like that would work in our head office are mainly like from like a dietetic background, but a lot of those dietitians realized that they didn't actually want to work clinically. It wasn't for them, that they kind of wanted to move across and kind of go down the industry route of things. So I guess what the company offers is like a lot of people who work in dietetics, or, you know, who've done a degree in nutrition like myself, we haven't been taught, I guess, you know, like any sort of like marketing skills. I guess our people skills kind of just comes from us as individuals. It's not something that we were kind of trained, to do in college. So the company itself is really supportive in terms of like furthering our, I guess, education and anything, that we feel would be beneficial to both like ourselves for our own personal growth, but then also to the company as well.
Mm-hmm.
Having said that, when I come back from New York, really didn't know what I was going to do at all, but there are some like really great like part-time courses, weekend courses that you can do. Like that marketing role that I completed last year was a level 4. So I have the potential now to go on and do a level 6, and then obviously, further that again. So I guess it was all just kind of a matter of trying to balance out work with, continued learning and how much work I'd actually be able to kind of take on myself. But so it was at the start of this year that I took on the global brand manager role. So I've decided to postpone doing the level 6 until I'm kind of a bit more settled in this role. And once I've kind of got grasp on things, I'll probably continue on, and do some more. So absolutely, there's complete continuous learning opportunities in both my company, but obviously extra, in friends that I have who or friends that also did nutritional sciences. I know that some of them have gone on to do master's, postgraduate opportunities in like public health nutrition. Others went on, to do dietetics. And when you do dietetics, you can kind of keep specializing, so you can continue, if maybe eating disorders was something that you were interested in, it's something that you could specialize. Pediatrics, the exact same. So there's a huge range of further development opportunities. Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. I mean, I think like marketing in general is probably something that a lot of people are going to have to learn, or maybe even should potentially be built into undergraduate courses, because now that we're kind of moving into that digital world, everyone is on social media. It's the fastest way to reach people and to get your message out there, and people are online like pretty much 24/7. So it is great that you got that training in it. And that you got the opportunity to develop those skills and ultimately make you better at your job, because it really is blending your experience and your education in nutritional science with marketing and putting the brand out there and reaching more and more people, isn't it?
Completely. And I guess that's kind of, I guess you really just kind of like summarized exactly like what we do. We are a science, like nutrition based company, like at the core, but obviously we are also a business. So, there has to be the element of like, promotion, sales, marketing side to it as well. Although we do work in the clinical, side of things, I guess, the end goal will to be, it is to make money ultimately. And marketing and sales really do help to push that along the way. So no, it is really great. And I also think a lot of people take for granted their own use of social media. If you have a Facebook page, or if you have your own Instagram page, you're already nearly like halfway there. You don't have to really learn exactly like how to use it. There's skills that you have that you don't really realize you have until you actually start I guess like learning it from a program level. It's a funny one, and it's something that I guess even now, like quite a lot of people have like their own interest in social media aside from work. So yeah, it's a great one, and I think it's quite relevant as well to the world that we're living in.
Yeah, definitely. We're all kind of like our own brand managers in a way, aren't we? Because we're promoting the best side of us on social media. And like that, we've got a little bit more sophisticated in our use of social media and our use of, stories and text and whatnot, like to tell our story, even if it's to a limited audience, if you've got your profile set to private or whatever and you've only got 200 friends like me. But it does allow you to be creative as well, which I think is a really nice element of your particular story, because like I said, you do have that background in nutritional science and you are working in that area, but then you're able to use your creativity to promote and market the brand as well, which is a nice sort of bonus, isn't it?
Absolutely. And think, you know, like we were talking about social media just there, you know, the way that you would use your own social medias in a way is nearly the way that a business would use their social medias too. So there's certain things that you'd post on Instagram that you wouldn't post on LinkedIn, or certain things that you might tweet about that you wouldn't put on, you know, Facebook, and vice versa. So there's already an element of like understanding when you are familiar, you know, with those social media platforms as to how a business would use them too. Because in the same way that we would put holiday photos on Instagram, we wouldn't put them on LinkedIn. You know, businesses would operate it in a similar way.
Yeah, definitely. I have like my personal Instagram, my work Instagram, my professional LinkedIn, my professional Twitter, and my personal Facebook. It's just crazy. So yeah, I definitely don't post the same content across all channels. That would just be a bit disastrous. So Leisha, if someone watching this was interested in pursuing a career like yours, what kind of qualities do you think they would need to possess?
So I guess because I took basically like lots of twists and turns, you know, in what I've done, I think one of the main things is to be open to trying something new, and to be, I guess, like a bit versatile, you know, in what you want to try. Because I guess like with my company, only because I showed an interest in like maybe wanting to do something, you know, in marketing, that's when the opportunities, you know, came up for me. So, you know, a lot of employers will always want to retain their staff. So if there is something that you're interested in, you know, absolutely speak to, you know, your manager, or, you know, whoever it is, HR maybe, who might be in charge of doing that, because they would be absolutely, you know, happy to allow you to have your own personal growth, but also that's something to, I guess, you know, will help the company as well. I guess from my side of things, I'm a bit of a talker, as you might have guessed already. So I guess from my territory manager sales side of things, you know, the people person really does help. But I guess also having that background in nutritional sciences really helps, like with the role that I'm in. For example, like any of the other territory managers here in Ireland, in the UK, and across the world as well, a lot of them all would have had backgrounds in dietetics, in nutrition, and then there's some people who might have worked in, you know, the pharmacy type area as well, you know, who would have then decided to come into the nutrition side of things. So we all have that kind of like backing in, you know, sound science. So for my role in particular, that is something that is, you know, really important. But on top of that, you know, the ability for everyone to learn and try something new, you know, like I already said, is definitely, you know, probably one of the top qualities that people would be looking for.
I think like, and that kind of goes without saying for every sort of occupation, isn't it? You need to have a little bit of a degree of flexibility, and like you said, to be minded, so that you can take opportunities when they're given to you and try new avenues and sort of explore areas that you are good at and that you might not have been given the opportunity to try before. So you've definitely been able to do all of that.
Yeah.
You clearly love your job, and you said you love your job, which is fantastic. And I think everyone should love their job, and I love my job, and that's why I want other people to find jobs that they love. Are there any cons to this particular role, or elements that are not particularly great?
Honestly, no. I mean, for me, the way that my roles work, you know, works perfectly for me. However, I do know that there's elements that might not work for other people. So, for example, in non-COVID normal times, I am on the road quite a bit. So I would be traveling to pretty much all of the hospitals around the country, and also to community settings as well. So I literally cover every single county. So I am traveling quite a bit. Sometimes, you know, it means kind of being away from home for maybe a night or 2 nights during the week, which at the moment completely suits me. You know, don't have a family, so it's potentially something that, you know, down the line may come, you know, to light for me, that that's not something that I might be able to do or might be able to keep up with. But for now, I absolutely love it, because I guess for me, going to all of these different hospitals and things, I get to communicate with like lots of different people, and that's what I like doing. I like to talk.
Yeah.
But no, I do appreciate that, you know, the travel aspect of the role may not appeal to everyone.
Okay, yeah, that's a really good point. So at the moment, like, it really does suit your lifestyle, and I'd be kind of similar. I like being on the road. I like meeting people. I don't necessarily like being restricted to an office environment. But then on the other side of it, if you're not getting home to your kids on time, or like that, if you have to stay overnight somewhere, then it may become a little bit of a problem for someone. But then again, like you said earlier, there's lots of opportunity to progress and advance in your career and change your role if needs be, which is a really positive of it.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Sorry, Leisha. I think we've kind of covered anything. Is there anything else you think might be important for Leaving Cert students who are considering to, first of all, pick nutritional science as an option on their CAO form, and then thinking about getting into a role like yours? Have you any advice for them, or anything else you think they should know?
I guess for anyone who's going to be doing nutritional sciences or thinking about it, the opportunities that come to you afterwards are absolutely, you know, phenomenal. And you can go down like such a variety of different routes. There was people who had, you know, did my course, who had initially thought that they wanted to do dietetics, but maybe didn't get the points for it, and nutritional sciences, you know, was a secondary option for them. But having done nutritional sciences, found that they actually really liked lab work, you know, and kind of liked being in the labs, liked analyzing, you know, different samples and things. So kind of, you know, figured out that that's actually what they were meant to do, as opposed to, you know, being, I guess, more clinical based. So I guess just the routes that you can take throughout the course, you know, are really beneficial. There's a 6-month placement option when you're in the course as well. So I did mine in a hospital because I was fully sure that I wanted to do dietetics when I finished. There was other people who did them, who did their placements in big food companies. You know, others did them in, I guess, like lab-based settings as well. So I guess it kind of like keeps the options open, you know, for everyone, because there is something, you know, for everyone after you do a course like nutritional sciences. And even, you know, from my perspective, technically, when I went over to New York and worked in the business development side of things, that didn't have a huge amount, you know, I didn't utilize, I guess, like a lot of what I had learned, you know, my 4 years of nutritional sciences then. But it was realizing there that I liked the clinical aspect of things. I liked the nutrition side of things, that really kind of brought me back to working in working in that area again. So yeah, I think for anyone considering nutritional sciences, it's definitely a course that you can have, I guess, lots of different career options from. So it is a nice one to choose.
Yeah, and like you said, I suppose the same with college students. It's important to be open-minded as well, and not sort of pigeon yourself into one particular role or occupation, or, you know, belief that this is what you're meant to do. And again, try new things. And because, like, even if you do try something that you don't necessarily like, well, at least it sort of highlights what you do like, and that will enable you to pursue that career even further.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I can only speak from my side of things, but like the jobs that I had in college, you know, really helped kind of like kind of took them for granted, you know, at the time. They were like nice, you know, brand ambassador, promotional like type roles. But looking back, it's those roles that really helped me realize that I like to be people facing, you know, and I like to be talking to people. You know, so, you know, I wouldn't take for granted any sort of, you know, part-time jobs or other experiences, you know, that you've had in other elements of your life. Because I mean, luckily for me, you know, I've been able to incorporate that into the job that I'm doing, which I really think helps me to love what I'm doing.
Yeah, and they do say, don't they? They say if you love what you're doing, you never work a day in your life, or something to that effect. So
Exactly,
that
it's
is
something along those
true.
lines.
Yeah, something along those lines. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Leisha. I really appreciate you popping on to talk to us all today, and I hope people get some benefit from this video call, and that it helps them to make up their mind a little bit. If anyone has any questions, of course, they can pop them in the comment box below, and both myself and Leisha, we can have a look, and even if you don't see them, Leisha, I can pop on any questions over to you. So thank you so much again for joining us, and I'll talk to you soon.